I do not know what they're up to with this DMCA stuff. I'm happy to look stupid about that because it doesn't make sense to me.
And like he tweeted, him and his crew tweeted at me a couple times about like, what are you doing? And I'm like, just you. Right back off.
They have to explain to the judge that they ran out of pineapple berries and had to try and catch these Snorlax with Ultra Balls, and they just and they have to be dead serious about this.
You talk to a lot of people, it's still the better MOBA, it's still a harder game, it's, you know, League of Legends, Dota's where the real pros are. But man, Valve is not doing themselves any favors. Hello and welcome again, folks, to The Breakdown. I'm your host, Sir Scoots. It's January 12th, 2022. We're bringing you yet another episode of our weekly show. Joining me from the magic of Bitfire and our Fire Bridge system in the TV, due to COVID spiking all over the world, we're keeping you home for a while. Mitch, how the fuck are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Great to be back here again, obviously virtually. I'm being piped into this TV. Again, looking forward to getting back on the show and the reel, but for now, this is how it's going to be. Good to be here, Scott. I remember saying at the end of December, like, usually it's quiet this time of year, you know what I mean? Usually we're looking for stuff to talk about, maybe. That's not the case in the last few weeks, actually. Been really eventful. So here we go again with another episode of The Breakdown to just go back over some of the news of the past week. Some of it has been just unreal.
Yeah, Jason and I, every Monday since we started the show, which again, we're on our 5th episode, I think now, on the rebirth of the show. Every Monday, we're like, shit, man. I don't know. What are we gonna? We don't have enough. And then, sure enough, by midday Monday, we're like, holy fuck. Okay, cool, we're good. Then by Tuesday, it's like, holy shit. He's already cutting shit. Like when it's just it. I don't think we're ever gonna have a drought of a few juicy topics every week. It seems between gaming and esports, our little world, always things to talk about. Thanks for joining us as always, folks. Why don't you start us off? Let's get right into this thing. A reminder.
Yeah.
We do a Q&A at the end of every show. So if you've got a question about any of the topics we're about to discuss or something that's come up in the, just in the news that we didn't discuss, ask in Do Not Peek's chat. They'll grab it. If it's a good question, we'll hit you at the end with an answer. All right. Take us into the first topic.
Obviously, we have like 200 years of esports experience between us. You can decide at home what ratio that is. I think you can probably figure it out for yourselves. But Scott, let's just start the show off with this is a bit of an uncomfortable one actually. Ridiculous, but I just want to make it clear that there's content warning in the upcoming segment. We'll be discussing things pertaining to sexual assault and more specifically rape. So I just want to let everyone know at home that that's what we're going to be dealing with, hopefully very briefly here, but I think this is worth sort of covering. Just want to give you guys a bit of a warning. So we found a bizarre story. A Street Fighter pro, named Robinho, has been banned from all Capcom events after telling a story on his stream. Telling a story on his stream that basically amounted to an admission of guilt in, being the perpetrator of sexual assault, Scott. It plays out here for us. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, mate.
Yeah, and again, we're not gonna give you what he said. It is translated, but basically he tells a story from several years ago where him and his girlfriend, not girlfriend at the time, both underage also at the time, technically, basically he sets her up. And, she was cheating. She was, not a cool, he sets her up to basically get, the story he tells is that they all gang rape her, right? He then, obviously, this gets translated by some folks in the FGC. And again, FGC has done a great job in the last couple of years, much like a lot of the communities, trying to clean themselves up, get rid of the bad apples. We've all got them in all our scenes, and they're slowly kind of getting cleaned up. So bravo to what the ramifications have been so far for this guy. So he first comes out and says, hey, well, I was just making story up. I was just embellishing. None of that happened. None of that happened. Well, too bad, so sad. If it did happen, obviously we need to talk about the legality of it. Is it too late? I don't know. Statute of limitations, all those kind of things. He's Brazilian, right? So I don't know,
I think
or
so.
Argentina. I
Yeah.
can't remember where in Latin he comes from. But obviously every country different rules, different laws. So I don't know if this guy maybe could suffer some legal ramifications for this story he told. Regardless of that, and regardless if it's actually true, he has been banned. He's a Capcom player, plays in the tour. Capcom has a pro tour if you're not familiar. Banned from it. They literally deleted his entire existence off their website because he's been competing. And so he's now, he fucked around and found out in the sense of telling this story. Again, hopefully, I hope to God, Mitch, that he was just thought he was fucking somehow being cool and telling a fucking funny story and it's all bullshit. Because if what he said happened, holy fuck.
So he's Brazilian. So let me just make something clear. This doesn't make any of it okay. The Brazilian sense of humor is much more crass.
Sure.
I've found speaking, in person to Brazilian folk and sort of understanding how. I mean, Jesus Christ, just look at some of the conversation around the Valorant champions, right? And it's just like some of the general vernacular being used by a lot of people from this region. Generally, it's that they seem pretty comfortable using a different register of language.
Sure.
I'll put it that way. But the guy is fucking bragging about a pretty atrocious act. So Capcom themselves have said hopefully that the authorities get involved. I mean, this is Brazil. This is a while ago. And it's obviously another blow to the FGC, who obviously has had, like other scenes, have had a number of these situations of like bad actors and people that are just fucking creeps, man, like just straight up. They get a bad reputation, I think, as a result of it, the FGC, because of the sheer volume of these occurrences, and some of them being extremely well known, like fucking Zero, for Christ's sake. Some of their sort of most celebrated people have been sort of caught for this stuff. So not great for them, but
yeah,
and I think the person who posted the translation was like, "Look, I'm really not pleased to contribute to the FGC in this way, but this is something that sort of has to be out there." Like, you don't make up a story and then go, "Oh, geez, man, those are the days. Ha ha ha. We got to get away with some unreal shit." I really hope he doesn't get away with this. That's just, it's wild. But it says a lot, I think, Scott, that this guy thinks it's the kind of thing you would brag about, like you're telling a fireside story,
Yeah,
I would. It's the same tone of me saying how I was so crazy as a kid. I used to jump off the jetty, the pier down the beach from crazy heights, was being, such a silly, crazy kid. That's the tone. That's what makes this feel even weirder.
Yeah, and again, it also, he tells the story in a revenge angle, right? He was getting back at this girl, right?
Yes.
Like, I'll show her, I'll call my buddies over. He got her all fucked up, and then again, they gang raped her, according to his story. That is now, just a joke, bro. So, joke or not, again, for God, I hope it is. He definitely has gotten fucked, and rightfully so, in the sense of Capcom and his career probably in the pro gaming world. But I think you're right in the sense of like statute of limitations, how long ago it was, Brazil, evidence, all these kind of things. Like, how do you, how do you actually?
He denies it. Yeah, he straight up says like it just didn't happen. But everybody's dropped him like a hot potato, haven't they?
Yeah.
I think he's been banned from most tournaments in Brazil, in general. But the guy was was just like, "Oh no, it's just a joke, bro. It's just fucking banter." Yeah. Even if every person depicted in that recollection was fictitious, that would still be one of the most off-color jokes I have ever heard, bro.
It's just,
Fucking
insane.
hell.
Yeah. Cultural barriers aside, holy fuck, right? Let's move on to the topic of the week every week so far, and I don't think it's going to go away. This one, again, the mighty DMCA. Oh, I like this. I like that with the copyright in there. I didn't notice that before. A whole lot of continuing DMCA news in our world. I don't even know where to begin. I guess we'll start with it's called the React meta and the Master Chef meta. Like, they're naming this shit the meta they're all doing, right? So it starts out with, as we left the story, we had people watching Lord of the Rings, we had people watching Master Chef episodes, and we were all wondering how the fuck are they getting away with this? Well, now Hassan got a copyright strike. That's what starts this week news. Hassan gets a copyright strike for MasterChef. Tweets it. No ban, nothing from Twitch, just got a strike. So I got the email, got the strike, right? Now, this is where it gets weird, right? Because then he gets an email from Twitch later that says, we made a mistake. Sorry, that strike. Oops, our bad. It's not on your record. We've removed it. So it would appear, Mitch, that someone filed a fake report. Twitch, it was believable enough. I haven't gone through the process to see what kind of stuff you have to provide when you submit a claim. But obviously, Twitch believed the one and it wasn't accurate.
Well, because it says the claimant was Fox Network on the actual email from Twitch. It said the material was MasterChef, the claimant was Fox Network. But how fucking hard is it to just go enter your name into this field to submit your DMCA claim, bro? You know, so I'm not really sure. Obviously Hassan doesn't really, to my knowledge, not at least like I don't watch his stream all that often, so I haven't seen him elaborate on this really at all. But it is interesting that was he one of the guys that was straight up watching MasterChef? Because Hassan reacts to content all the fucking time. His model is taking stories, news of the day, and fucking reacting to it, and then getting mad at chat because he cherry picks like the really dumb right wing, like people troll, like people just like putting fake like right wing opinions in there and calling him reactionaries and rocking back in his chair, frothing at the mouth. That's what he fucking does. So yeah, I'm very curious if he's actually been watching MasterChef as well, and there's a DMCA claim and been struck down. His whole argument, Scott, was that it's fair use if the person doesn't care about claiming.
Yeah, that was a magical tweet of his, right? If they don't care, it's legal.
Yeah, pretty Papega. But I mean, it's like it's the same thing. It's kind of communist, isn't it? It's like, look, if no one cares that I steal the fucking candy bar, then it's not stealing.
Did I really steal it?
That's basically what his tweet sort of boiled down to. Whatever, man. It's his business.
Yeah, and he was streaming it.
We also remember we had this like potential collab in the works, right? With like the Gordon Ramsay stuff and his tweets to XQC. So, maybe Fox don't fucking care, and maybe he's right, and maybe Gordon Ramsay's still trying to work. I don't know, bro, but his channel's still there. He didn't get banned, at least not in the long term, but some people did, Scott. Some people legitimately got banned.
Yeah, and because the story gets even spicier, obviously. Now this happens in between. So in context of the timeline, Hassan gets his strike. All the news breaks. Oh shit, here it comes. The meta's over. The bear, you poked him, and now they're coming. Then this happens. She then gets banned. She comes out, tweets 48-hour ban. The Fire Nation got me, or something like that, because she was watching Airbender, right? Avatar and all that, right? So she mocks literally getting the ban with a little jokey joke, which more power to her. Have some fun with it, I guess. Then while she's banned, Hassan strike gets removed, right? So then, because when Pokey comes back on her stream on Monday, and she's like, wait, was mine fake then? And then she even jokes, says, no, mine was real. But she gets this whole like thought process going like, wait, are these all fake? Or can we do this again? Because she served her time and then, immediately started streaming again.
2 days. It was 2 days.
Yeah, 48 hours.
And remember, when she got banned, she was like, just to be clear, not surprised about this.
Yeah, expected it.
This React Metal, like, I mean, I'm not surprised that the publishers, especially like her, obviously being such a high profile streamer, she got banned for 48 hours. Are you kidding me? This is nothing. I mean, Toast got fucking banned as well. We'll get onto that in a sec. But anyway, so Pokey's unbanned. Whatever. She discusses it. What is the point of this? Are they trying to like? I can't tell if they're trying to bait Twitch into like taking more direct action on their end, because the conversation that comes out of this is hilarious, because DJ Weir obviously weighs in on this, Scott, right?
Yeah.
He's like, hey, if you're managing these streamers, you should be fucking throwing everything at them to make sure they don't do this, because it could jeopardize their career. And even if they're fucking rich, it could still cost them a lot of money. Christian Tomas, Trance, as many know him, many especially back in the old esports scene. If you attended DreamHack, you definitely met this gentleman. This is he's saying, it's mind-boggling that high-tier content creators are willing to risk everything, right? So there's the assumption that there's a lot of risk here for these creators, Scott. Trance is weighing in on this, but there's a funny part too to this whole thing. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand why everyone is so lazy about it. And again, maybe they know something we don't. I don't know. I don't really get this. The best part is when Lothar gets involved, Scott. Give this a fucking gander, mate.
Yeah, because I was
Tell me what you see
I
here.
was reading this in real time because I retweeted Marcus, and then Lothar comes because I was thinking the same thing, right? I was like, wait a minute, Trance, what are you doing, Trance, right now? And then here comes Lothar, thank God, because I would have typed this in a totally different way and probably not so nice. And again, RTS is a big creative agency that just launched this year. Big hoopla. Endeavor involved, which is a big agency, used to be IMG, WMG, Endeavor, all this stuff. The RTS co-own, speaking of fighting games, unrelated, Sony Entertainment and RTS co-own EVO, the fighting game tournament, right?
Right.
So this is, and
Okay.
Stuart Saw is there, Trance is there, Kim Fan, X Blizzard is there, Sue Smix is there from Twitch. Really
Really esports money, basically.
yeah, all been around the block for a while, and obviously Pokimane is an outsider in that sense, in the sense of her pedigree versus their pedigree, but she's one of the owners of this thing, probably her investment in that sense too, and her name and all that. And again, creative agency trying to do better. Trance is a VP of esports for them. So then Lothar basically calls him out, right? And then it gets kind of funny.
I mean, loosely, I guess he loosely manages Pokey. Obviously he's not in charge of that, but Trance, by the way, Trance, who's like an esports OG, like you just see him at every party, and he'd always be up for a chat. He was really friendly to me, especially being just a relative nobody when I first met this guy. He was at IMG, he was at Twitch. That motherfucking Trance is protecting his account. It's me. What is this? Am I watching some sort of pantomime? The guy is fucking. I guess he's afraid of. Obviously, he didn't realize. I think he didn't know that Pokey got banned for this.
Yeah,
because otherwise he wouldn't weigh in on. I like this, But it's just.
Yeah, and I've known,
so
I've known Christian as well. He's shown me several parts of the world that I wasn't familiar with over the years, and super nice guy. And again, good pedigree as well. Actually, all the way back to the Too Good Studio with James and shit, right? So solid guy. So I think the same thing. I think this is even though they're a small little company, and sure, I'm building them up, RTS, this might be a right hand not knowing what the left hand was doing, and him maybe. Again, he's esports for RTS, Pokimane. Like, I don't know what their day-to-day is like. I'm hoping that Trance just had no idea that she did that. Therefore, he put his foot in his mouth, not knowing. Because he was making valid points, right? These are all logical, valid points. Like, how the fuck are they doing this, right? And we were all like, yeah, but your girl's doing it, bro. So he's like, oh, shit. Yeah, and I don't know why. I guess that's how he decided to handle it. We all decided to handle it differently. Like, because what else did he say? Like,
what do you mean? Is this the great esports tortoise is retreating into his fucking shell and flipping over? What is going on? I don't know. I thought it was very funny. I suppose, I mean, Trance eventually has to peek his head out back into the fucking grey unknown at some
I'd be
point,
like, my
right?
bad, didn't know she did that. Or like, because again, it can't be some sort of grandmaster behind the scenes, puppeteering, smoke. Like, they're all working something, right?
It's the equivalent of using the new Twitter feature that lets you hide replies to your tweets. But people can still see the replies. They just click on the tab that says view hidden replies. Like, it doesn't really stop anyone seeing you put your foot in your mouth or whatever. I don't know. I love it. I think it's so funny. But so Pokey got banned for 2 days, 48 hours. She was like, yeah, this is fair. Your boy Disguised Toast, another incredibly popular Twitch streamer.
Yes.
Oh my God, my guy got fucked on. A month is what he seems to have indicated the ban was. A lot of other streamers sort of came out and were quite surprised at the length of this quote unquote sentence, right? This month not streaming. Obviously, it's huge for guys like Toast, who probably makes like $100,000 a month plus. Like, this is just, pulling it out my ass. But, I think Carnage was sort of weighing in on this as well. So we're getting a lot of sort of other Twitch streamers that maybe aren't engaging in such risky behavior. In terms of streaming stuff. But Toe was asking, okay, so Toast's suspension is only 2 days as well, apparently. So he initially says it's a month, it's just 2 days. So he was lying or trolling about it. I mean, yeah, I think just trolling, Co. Let's go easy. So a 2-day suspension for getting DMCA'd. The motherfucker watched 100+ episodes of Naruto and then started watching Death Note. And it's very clear to see that, like, the owners of this, like, I guess Crunchyroll's probably the licensed distributor or Funimation of this content. They're probably a little bit more keyed into what gaming is, Scott. Like, are we trying to fucking tempt? Are we waving a red cape in front of these litigators?
Totally. I mean, so obviously a little backstory
Have
on.
we run out of content to talk about that on games?
I mean,
I don't get it, Scott. I fucking don't understand it.
Yeah. Backstory on him. Remember, he went to Facebook for a paycheck, so he's probably already set. He could be banned tomorrow, and he would be fine. So obviously, he decided to push this bad boy as far as he could. He's obviously back on Twitch now. He got banned mid Death Note episode 23, I believe. Actually, he was mid Death Noting, I believe, and I don't know what is in that episode, but how appropriate would it be if that was like a dramatic episode and they somehow banned him in timing with what he was watching? That would have been delicious. But
do you like anime? Oh, are you a fan?
I haven't watched much, so I can't say I like it or don't like it. I've only watched that one. I've watched Death Note. I was entertained by it. I thought it was cool. It lived up to the hype. And then I watched the Netflix redo with Defoe being the... and I thought that was cool. I imagine I would enjoy it. I just haven't really delved into it in the sense of watch it.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, look, I think it's fair to say that like the people that are maybe in charge of, Crunchyroll or Funimation or whatever are, have more, purview about what's happening in the gaming space. So unlike maybe Fox, who probably may not have this on their radar, it might be a little bit of a different situation.
But
it's very I just find it curious. I can ask.
But would they care in a negative way though?
Let
me ask you a question on what you did. Would they care in a negative way, or would they be cool with it because they're kind of more hip and into our world and more like? Would they know about it and be mad, or know about it? Oh, that's cool. What I mean? Would they be more lenient because they're more familiar with our world? I guess.
I think that has a lot to do with their KPI metrics. To be honest with you, like what Crunchyroll. Like, I mean, you're in a position where like Crunchyroll is being stolen from. I mean, like you have to be honest with like the people that are distributing this content that are paid to distribute anime in North America or or whatever in the Western world. This content is being stolen from them, so they have to really weigh this up. And I think they know they have to be careful because it's been we've seen multiple times in the past that like people in the online sphere can really can rattle the cage to quite a large degree. And like I mentioned last week, it's one thing for like XQC to watch MasterChef episodes on YouTube or pirate them and then encourage people to go to YouTube and sort of watch them. I don't know how easy it is to catch these pirated episodes of anime. Probably pretty easy. So the real question is, Scott, does this drive traffic to their platforms legitimately or not? And I think that's what we are like. That's the excuse. Everyone's like, no, but these such big streamers are just exposing this to everybody, and now they're going to be interested. They're going to go pay for a subscription. Hold on, wait a minute. I mean, they might pay for to throw gift subs at XQC so they get a text to speech about them just repeating the same number 77777 for like a minute, but that doesn't mean they're going to pay to fucking get Crunchyroll when they can consume this kind of content. So I'm not sure if the argument really holds any water.
I wouldn't have cared about Gordon Ramsay if I wouldn't have juiced with my boy and watched it, Now
people only say that to protect their I mean, they got a vested interest in saying that. They only say that to protect their streamers. Everyone's like, don't snitch. That is a fucking infantile thing to say. You know where this don't snitch thing comes from? This whole like hatred of authority that we see that permeates like, modern culture these days. Like reasonable things like defund the police or like reduce the power of the government. Now it's like don't fucking snitch on your favorite streamer watching. Like, what are you trying to moralize to people about keeping it quiet that you're stealing content from large entertainment providers? Like, I'm struggling to really understand this, but maybe I'm the boomer. I don't know. Obviously, Co Carnage was sort of discussing that and sort of saying, what do you ended up saying, Scott, is that he was saying that the Twitch streamers needed some more transparency. So I guess, there's not really anybody, partner managers, by the way, who are known to these streamers. Like if you're a big streamer, you have your partner manager on speed dial or vice versa, right? So they should be fucking telling their streamers what the risks are and whether this is okay. And their management and Trant should be fucking talking to Pokimane, whoever else he represents that's doing this stuff. We don't know anything about Twitch's stance on this, Scott.
Yeah, and kind of
outside of what fucking we were saying. He's not even employed there anymore.
Yeah, because he's like literally on his last week, I think. But yeah, back to like Wheat's tweet about like these people all have management around them, all the agencies and people they've hired or RTS, an agency she owns, and they should be like at least informing their talent. Like this shit is don't do this. It's wrong. Right now, a lot of people chimed in to Marcus's thing. Like, they probably are being told, and they're like still doing it, right? And that does happen. You represent an athlete, and you tell an athlete, "Hey, dude, stop doing cocaine in bar bathrooms." And the next night, he's on TMZ because he got busted doing cocaine in a bar bathroom, right? So management often does try to help their talent, but they don't get listened to, right? So there's probably a line that an SQC is going to listen to from his agent, and then he's going to say, "Shut up." So
yeah, but I mean, like people, I get the wrong idea.
Now your
about
lawyer,
Phoenix. Like, he's not that unhinged. Like he would listen to his management. I think if they were like, telling him that this could jeopardize his earnings.
No, I guess
him being absolutely. Yeah,
I guess I don't need to use him as an example, but more than just talent will often be like, thanks for the advice, fuck you. MasterChef episode 12 coming your way, right? It is their job to warn, more so if these people have legal help. An agent is not necessarily your lawyer. If you got a lawyer on retainer and he's not in your ear going, knock that fucking shit off, he's not doing his job. Because one last thing that we haven't discussed, there are fines for these things. So if the big bear, because one thing you get, so lots of things can happen. You can get striked. X amount of strikes gets you a temporary suspension on Twitch. X amount of those can get you perma'd from Twitch, right? Then you move platforms, maybe you don't. But there's also, outside of that, losing your ability in your platform. If these bad boys, if they decide to come after Toast, that's 100 infractions on Naruto, times how many people were watching each infraction, times X amount of dollars for the fine, times X amount of possible criminal. Like there are precedent for this shit. Millions of dollars, less likely jail time, and definitely more likely possibly millions in fines. Now, that rights holder has to really care because it has to go from a few pieces of forms filled out to illegal ramifications happening. But again, these guys and gals could get nailed. Their back catalog is not safe because they deleted their VODs. We all know that Twitch's VODs are not really gone. So again, they're still poking the bear, right? And it just depends if the bear, because it's one thing if because I used to always laugh like, oh shit, I played Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd to my 30 viewers on Scoots After Dark. What's going to happen, right? Come after me. Yeah. What are you going to sue me for? Even if even if I followed the letter of the law and got dinged, but these guys have lots
trying to quantify the damages incurred for you, for example,
exactly,
would not be nearly as bad. But
it wouldn't be worth it.
Guys, I mean, I mean, I'm sure these people earn 5 figures, 6 figures a month quite easily, and that's on the lower side of things. So maybe it's not a huge issue for them in the long term, but maybe they're trying to get a precedent established. You know what I mean? Maybe they're saying, hey, maybe they're as a syndicate saying, hey, look, we might let's poke the bear. Let's see what happens here. Let's force a precedent to be established. But in terms of this kind of React content on Twitch, and let's just use it as easy content for the time being. You know who else is using it as easy content?
Everybody else who's talking about them.
Yes, popular Twitch streamer by the name The Dan Dangler.
Oh yeah.
So she she's a Twitch streamer, and she's really quite popular on the platform. She appeared on that that league list of sort of high performing, high earning Twitch streamers, right? So does pretty well for herself. A cursory look at her social media indicates that she does extremely well for herself. Sort of in terms of lifestyle, really nice new car, really nice house, yada yada. So she says, look, I got banned from Twitch. I was watching Forged in Fire, which is obviously some sort of show. I've got COVID, so I don't feel well enough to entertain people. So I'm just gonna get on stream and watch this show. And Twitch, it's your fault because you don't pay me for my sick days or for the time that I need to take off. I've got a $4,000 vet bill to pay. I'm struggling. I want to lay down and cry and roll around. Wow. There's all right, Scott, go on then. There's a whole lot to unpack here, mate. Why don't you fucking start us off?
I don't even know where to begin with this one, Mitch. River, that's $4,000 vet bills. Okay.
Okay.
The entitlement just
I think this tweet
oozes.
She got slapped down for this.
She did.
She got slapped down, Scott.
She fucked around and found out. She at one point had turned off her Twitter feed, had started deleting tweets.
I can't find her Twitch account.
Well, she's banned. So she is still banned. So they make it disappear for that suspension. So it would say not here. And I imagine it's again probably a 48-hour if that's what they're doing DMCA's for. Forged in Fire is a Netflix show where you make swords and weapons and shit, I believe. So, yeah, this one, and she just got again everyone jumped on her. I added to it. I quote tweeted. I didn't say anything nasty to her as a person, but I was like, "What are you talking about? Twitch lets you set your own schedule. You can have as many days off as you want." Yeah, again, the entitlement of this, and we've talked about this a little bit about like what Twitch gives you and what you get for Twitch, and now the rat race of a Twitch streamer is not to be downplayed in the sense that like once you get on that wheel and you're making enough money to kind of sustain, you do lose subs if you take a day off, and they'll come back. They'll come back, but you got to be consistent. You can't take too many days off, and if you watch that. Well, you streamer, you see how it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. So it can be kind of nerve-wracking, but
Sure.
405 on the list in the 18-month league.
Pretty good.
Right? 405, 377. Hang on, I got to get my tissue. I'm going to cry again. $377,000 this woman made in the Twitch ecosystem. Wow. Twitch only ecosystem. That's not
pretty good.
That's not her straight donations if she has them, if she's got a Patreon going or anything like that.
She has a Patreon going.
I'm fucking sorry. You don't know basic fucking save your money 101 and you got nothing banked up if you literally.
Yeah. Well, based on what her lifestyle appears to involve, this might not be much money to her. I'll be honest with you, Scott. Her Twitter account is gone as of the last half hour. So yeah, obviously there's look, listen, this is the equivalent of taking the shittiest idea in the forum and dragging it out into the town square and beating the tar out of it. Obviously, this is a pretty extreme example, but obviously everyone is calling it out for being entitled that she's not allowed to make money off someone else's product while she's sick and has COVID, and that's like a whole nother fucking kettle of fish there.
Yeah,
so
the layers of this tweet.
Yeah. So, and again, you know what? Here's the reality of this, Scott. Though, is that there probably are a lot of people that are looking to copycat this meta, right? This React meta, and there's a good chance that these people get punished more severely than some of the top streamers because they don't really have the clout to sort of mobilize a community behind them. I don't think that Dan Dangler did. That's for sure. So, yeah, it's something to be careful of. Well, I really like. I'm sat here. We're on a talk show. We're supposed to contextualize and explain this stuff. I do not know what they're up to with this DMCA stuff. I'm happy to look stupid about that because it doesn't make sense to me outside of Hassan's seize the means of video content production fucking views.
I mean,
I don't really get it outside of it being a big fuck you to media corporations. So
I mean, if they
strap yourselves in, I guess.
If they think they're trying to send a message like, we're not gonna take this, we'll show you, they're just gonna do what already happened at YouTube to Twitch. The machine's going to roll in, and it's going to get enacted like it enacted over there. It's not going to get better for them. They're not going to win some sort of war on Twitch versus YouTube. This battle was fought on YouTube, and they won. They're going to win here, too, because they have all the money and all the lawyers and all the fucking content you're trying to steal. You're not going to win. The only thing you're going to win is Twitch having to set some really hardcore guidelines and get some more shit that doesn't help you but hurts you. Right. And I think to Ko's point, Ko wants transparency in the sense of can we all know what everyone's getting dinged with instead of waiting for them to tell us? So maybe that scares everybody. Right. If it was 30 days, Ko would love the world to know that Twitch just nailed Toast for 30 days. Sure. Right. Not Twitch saying it and not being true, actually. Or maybe it is true. We'll find out if he gets unbanned in 48 hours. But yeah, again, we've said it every week. They're poking a bear they shouldn't be poking, right? I don't get it.
So
I don't get it.
I tell you, I guarantee you, Twitch are running around right now. Should they be the ones that try and set some standards here? Because I think what Ko is saying, he's saying hey, you know what would be nice is that if we had an understanding of what the guidelines were for the kinds of content that we can provide here, outside of having to take big risks. And push and see just how far we can get, because the guidelines being set by Twitch clearly are not clear enough. And everyone's like, oh, be careful. Oh, better get your lawyer ready. Ooh. And then people like Hassan fuck you and just plowing through all these walls and saying, all right, let's see how much it takes. Should Twitch be more proactive here on, establishing some sort of reasonable framework. Does it even fucking matter, Scott? Does it matter if they do this?
I would be really interesting to know. Like, I was reading somewhere that Twitch has to kind of follow X, Y, and Z rules, and then they have, if they act like it's a problem and they pre-police, then they're a danger. That's the wrong word. Like, safe harbor comes into play if they kind of do what they're supposed to do, but if they acknowledge to the world that they've got a copyright issue on their site, I think that fucks their own safe harbor, right? So it's a weird legal fine line for them for I don't think they can pre-police someone else's DMCA, or they're acknowledging that they've got a problem on their own platform. I might not be getting this right. It might be worthwhile getting an IP lawyer on this show one of these weeks if this continues, or DMCA, someone in our mix. So I wonder if they have to be standoffish till they're basically legislated that they cannot be standoffish anymore. But I think what Hassan and all these guys are going to find out is that the bots already fuck up the audio shit, right? Like, we get dinged every week on our Valoranting show, Tuesdays, at 11 Pacific. Make sure noon Pacific. And it's copyrighted. I'm sorry, it is 11. Copyrighted music, these two fucking shows. Copyrighted music that we've licensed to use during our break, right? We have license to it every week. We now get the little VOD has been muted by Twitch. We fill out the form, say, nope, yet again, we own this. They go, oh, shit, my bad. Turn it back on. That's 2 or 3 weeks in a row now we've done this, right? So, again, you don't want these automated systems being jammed into Twitch's already fucked up system of VODs and live. Because you'll just, people will start getting dinged live. Well, they already are. Toast got dinged, right? And I don't know if that was live or not. So, yeah, I just don't think to your point, if they're trying to rile up the man to get some outcome, I just don't think it's the outcome y'all gonna want when they come a knocking. Because ask anyone who was at YouTube making money before that fucking happened. They're not happy with the outcome, right? And some of you were there. So that's even weirder. Anyway, we'll talk about it again next week. Because maybe Toast will be unbanned.
I'm sure there'll be more. Again, I want to keep discussing,
but we're not done with it.
Evidence comes out. I keep an eye on like people like Ryan Fairchild's Twitters, for example, because they're guys that like obviously, deal with some of the stark realities of legality meets esports and gaming influencer culture. So well worth a follow at Fairchild there if you want to do that.
He's moved on a little bit
today about
Yeah.
I mean, as everyone does, because you get fucking jaded. And the money runs out.
But what's good for that is he's moved on business-wise, but not like, so now we'll be able to hear even more unfiltered Fairchild because he's not beholden to any sort of esportsy clients on either side of the chain. So it's actually good. But we're not done talking about this. I have one more thing I wanted to bring up. I meant to bring it up last week because there are solutions, right? And when this first started happening, people were like, there's fucking watch parties. Why aren't you using a watch party? Well, watch parties are limited for sure. Now, there's this thing that's come out, a guy coded, called Tanami.tv, right? And he's taken the idea of watch parties. And if you're not familiar with what an Amazon watch party is or a Prime watch party, basically the way it works for a streamer is I am allowed to, I log into my Prime, you log into your Prime as a viewer, and I start a watch party. Right, and what it basically does in my stream is it basically lets you watch the show, lets me watch the show, and it moves my little camera or whatever I'm doing in my stream up over here, but it really doesn't actually stream the content, right? So if you didn't sync your system with me and just went into this channel, you wouldn't see the movie. Right? You have to have paid for the platform. And the way it works on Amazon, obviously, it's just Amazon shit. And it's limited, region-locked material exists. I might be able to watch something in the U.S. that someone on Canadian Prime can't watch, right? So there's limitations to it, right? Now, what this guy did is he took that idea and blew it out past Amazon. So if we scroll that again, he's added Netflix, Disney, YouTube, HBO Max, Crunchyroll. Right? So same kind of concept that you log in, I log in. Now he's basically opened up the platform of what you can share with your fans, right? Now still some of those same barrier of entries. You got to both log in, you got to hit play, you got to watch it. and there's region locking, but really, really fucking cool. So there are options if you want to legally have a movie night with your fans. And, you know, I don't want to call it lazy content. If you want to just have that kind of content, there's legally ways to share it with your audience. I think that's cool as shit, right?
Yeah, this is a really, it's like a Chrome extension, and basically what it does is that you are streaming to someone who doesn't have this extension. You're streaming your face cam.
Yep.
But when someone goes to your Twitch stream, it'll pop up saying, "Hey, this creator is watching, you know, whatever," and it'll take you to Crunchyroll. You'll have to log in on your account, your credentials, and then basically it just embeds you're watching your Crunchyroll account in the Twitch player with the streamer's face and the chat there happening. So if you don't have this, you just see it's like a watch along, right? You just see the streamer's face or whatever. So it is an answer to that. It just means that like people have to fucking pay to watch this. They have to have their accounts active. I kind of like that. You know, it might not be a bad way to do like watch along to subscribers or like watching an anime series together or whatever. Obviously, in a way that will avoid you getting completely fucked. Now, whether or not, Scott, this is actually going to be necessary remains to be seen, because we're still waiting on, like we said before, the reaction from litigators and stuff like that. So, Tenami, not to be convinced with Toonami, which is where I first encountered anime. Watching it on TV, but decent idea. And again, I'm sorry, we don't have more to sort of, we can't really give you the hard hitting facts about a lot of this copyright stuff, because it's not well established at all. So even a lawyer will be stuttering trying to sort of make ends meet in this whole discussion. So best thing you can do, especially if you don't want to go and read a bunch of fucking tomes about law, is sit and wait and watch like we will be. See what happens.
Yeah, I imagine some lawsuits will eventually drop. We'll see. This is just, it's getting too well known now. It's not, you know, I just don't, there's got to be an ambulance chasing lawyer for one of these IPs that's going to do the math and see how many millions these people are worth.
Fucking billboard on the I-5. Yeah.
You know,
got fucked by streaming anime on Twitch. Call Sweet Andrew 1-800.
and
fucking help me.
And God forbid if, you know, like these lawyers get commissions on settlements, that kind of stuff, because that often happens when damage settlements. You know, they get pieces of it. If they start seeing dollar signs, because these people are millionaires. Let's give them credit where credit's due. They're millionaires that have decided to play other millionaires' content. Okay, moving on. We're like crazy. Yeah, at this point,
fucking break.
Let's go to break.
To a break.
I don't know. My brain is broken. I don't know. Do I have to ask Twitch if I go to break? Cody, can we go to break?
All right, just do it.
We're gonna go to break. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Welcome back, nerds, to the Breakdown, where the two of us unqualified slobs have spent about half an hour grasping at ways to try and explain copyright law. You know, gloriously able to move on and talk about a little bit more news in the gaming sphere this week. I'm Mitch Leslie, of course, joined here by Sir Scoots. And again, second half of the show here, we're going to mix some more lighthearted stuff in. You see this news that came out this week, Scott, that... Well, let's just say you don't got to catch them all. Apparently, if you're the police and you'd like to play games, apparently some LAPD officers were fired for catching a Snorlax instead of a burglar denied appeal. One of them had the Pokeflute, the other with the Pokeball. I guess they didn't have anyone else to hold the Snorlax down, but squad car recordings caught these two guys fucking just flubbing their fucking whatever, the curveball throws, trying to catch a Snorlax instead of apprehending criminals. Excuse me.
See, this is why I was fucking up Pokey's nickname, because of this story. I can't get this out of my brain. Like, this is real. This is not trolling. Like, I keep throwing stories at Jason. He's like, "Are you trolling me? Is this real?" I'm like, "No, this happened." He actually knows the girl who wrote this article, right? So, yeah. So they, instead of going after a robbery suspect, they chase a Snorlax. And the chef's kiss of this whole thing is that the car is actively recorded. So, like, the article is delicious. You got to read this article, folks, because it quotes them talking about it and Snorlax and different and it's just hilariously nerd cop talk, right?
Yes.
Meanwhile, you know, 211 in progress. See the man, Snorlax down. Just fucking amazing.
South of Lavender Town, blocking the bridge. We're gonna need a pokey flute. Bring him in. Bring in the canine unit with a pokey flute.
Because he's literally talking about because he's talking about the best way to get. Oh no, if I cut over, I'll get over there by Crenshaw and I can catch it because this doesn't. And he's like, no, that doesn't go through. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
We can't get to Fuchsia City right now. We can't challenge Koga without getting rid of this Snorlax. Fuck me, incredible. You know, Scott, who needs to defund the police? Just take their fucking phones away. I mean, that's going to be quite easy. I just love because they obviously have to wear body cams, right? So can you imagine this, right? These guys,
I demand the body cam
equivalent
footage.
of like a hearing, in a disciplinary hearing, and with straight faces, they have to explain to the judge that they ran out of fucking pineapple berries and had to try and catch these Snorlax with Ultra Balls, and they just and they have to be dead serious about this because the fact that we get so much detail, Scott, the fact that we know what kind of Pokemon they were trying to catch and all this stuff means that they had to say this bold-faced to whoever was deciding their fate. Absolutely unreal.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when Pokemon comes?
And obviously the image of the cop there, obviously because you fight policemen in Pokemon, they always have Growlithe or something like that, the canine units, right? But yeah, so a bit of fun, a little bit fluffy to be sure.
Yeah.
But I'll let you handle this one. Here's a curveball. Let's move on because obviously there's not all that much to say about this one except Omega Lol. This block though, this is a bit more spicy. Why don't you? I tell you, you do the segue.
Yeah.
I nailed the fucking don't got to catch them all. Now you come up with one.
So big breaking news, and in some regards not news to any of us in the scene, in the sense of the behavior of Andy. So big breaking news, Wired, which again, big publication, breaks story that Riot Games is investigating top esports founder over bullying allegations. That team founder is Andy Ding, Reginald. TSM is the team. And again, he's always been a very abrasive, outspoken guy, very loud. There's lots of video of him yelling when he was a player, as well as when he was a team owner at his players, right? So,
Yeah.
But this article really lays it out, right? Riot is investigating his behavior, right? So will they sanction him? Again, if you're totally unaware, TSM does play in Riot's League of Legends. They're one of the founding teams, if you will. And they've been, they are legal. That's where they started. TSM stands for Team Solo Mid, right? So they started as a League of Legends team. He's an ex-player. So we'll see. A lot of us were like, yay! Tell me something I don't know. Because, again, this is not news in the scene that he's abrasive and loud and obnoxious. And it's also like, okay, well, Riot's investigating, so that's like, okay, Riot's investigating, like, we've seen that, and it usually, we could not.
What does this particularly mean?
We couldn't find the phone anywhere. Couldn't find the phone anywhere. And TSM is doing their own investigation, so couldn't find the coffee cup anywhere. Couldn't find, so we'll see. I love the idea that it's publicly getting out there and it's getting past us that he's kind of a fucking asshole, right? Because he's a fucking asshole, right?
I mean, this came up. This came up a while back, I think a few weeks ago. And there was like it was mentioned. This was because obviously Double Lift,
yes,
right? Who was a player for this team for quite some time. It was like it's pretty hard to get people to sort of testify publicly to being sort of treated poorly in the workplace, right? Because obviously there's a fear of retaliation. But fucking Double Lift don't give a fuck. Oh, what are you going to say to this guy? And I'll quote him here. He's like a bully who gets away with being a bad person because he's powerful, because people are afraid to stand up to him. This is something Double Lift said on a stream. So the guy's a bully. Basically, and because no one wants to sort of get in his way. So here's the problem. Okay, there's a little bit of opinion infused here with my coming words. So just be aware of that. But this guy was a League of Legends player, right? Way back. He was part of the first wave of LCS Pro.
Franchise
LCS
player,
Season 1.
Yep.
Guys like Double Lift. Yep. Guys like Reginald was a mid laner with a narrow champion pool and a big fucking mouth. This guy never grew up. But all of a sudden found himself in charge of, frankly, a gaming empire with a large amount of money and a lot of responsibility that he does not have the skill set to command, frankly. And I'm not surprised to sort of see this because I watched a lot of his interviews back in the day. There was always some sort of drama with it. It was like him and Travis Gafford would be going at it, or like, someone would have managed to bait him into saying something stupid on camera or on stream, sort of way back in the days where in teams like Curse and stuff like that. And very, very early on. I I attended the TSM holiday party this year.
Oh, okay.
On kind
Congrats on the
invitation by
invite.
one of my friends who brought me as their +1. Thank you. Yeah, it was nice. Look, honestly, they do well
Probably
for
not
themselves
going
because
back,
it was
are
a very
you?
nice holiday party.
Guess it was one
Well,
and done,
no,
maybe.
it was fine. I didn't interact with Andy at all, but I did see him. And let me just say, based on a cursory glance at his behavior in real life, I'm not surprised to see these allegations come up, Scott. You were a bit more involved in like the early LCS days, or at least you were a bit more aware of how things went back then, because a lot of the same people who were sort of making mogul moves in the early days of the LCS are still in the space now, right?
Yeah, and again, I'm not a League of Legends guy, so I couldn't talk to him as a player at all. But obviously, some of that that graduating class of the first League of Legends team, very successful, very powerful in our space now. TSM, Cloud9, Steve, who was Cursed, who now is co-owner of Team Liquid. Those guys were very powerful back in the day, and we collectively, lots of us heard lots of stories about them. Jack worked for Andy first before Cloud9. He helped Andy with sponsorship. He came from Crunchyroll, I actually believe. Jack Etienne from Cloud9. So they all figuring out how to do esports together, much like those of us that predecessor were figuring out in our world, like they were their clique, right? And there's also League of Legends, so they bonded over this new game. Again, stories. Lots of stories about them colluding with players, right? I heard this shit all the time. Because I was a player guy, but not a League of Legends. So did you hear they're doing this? And I'm like, what? League of Legends? I don't give a shit. I really discounted that game. Rachel will tell you the story that I laughed in her face at an IPL. I'm like, shut up. That game will do nothing. As I walked to StarCraft's like little fucking ballroom, right? One of the IPL events that she was doing League of Legends. I'm like, whatever. Dota will crush it. It won't be very popular. Her and Trevor, both of them turned to me and like, you are an idiot. I'm like, shut up, FPS forever. Sure enough, most popular game on the planet, Rachel, you were right. Long story short, lots of collusion. So what do I mean by that, Scott? So these guys, this group of owners, much like the Warcraft 3 owners did back in the day, would collude and go, hey, you want this player, I want that player. Let's not get in a bidding war over this kid. You take him, I get the next one. And like I heard these stories from very reputable League of Legends industry type people, right? And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This reminds me of that shit, right? And again, what that does is you artificially lower potentially what a player's worth is by stopping that bidding process, right? So maybe the kid got $2,000 a month, but that bidding war between those teams could have got to $5,000 a month. Maybe only got to $3,000. Who knows? But it's fucking collusion, and technically it's illegal, right? So lots of these
you're tampering with the play market.
Yeah, lots of these stories, and so like, yeah. So that's one thing. Now I have a little bit of direct Andy time, if you will.
Great. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Years ago, the PEA, which is the Professional Esports Association, group of team owners in North America got together and formed their own little association. They're going to do their own tournaments. They're going to run their own leagues. And they were starting with Counter-Strike. Those of you that are familiar with Counter-Strike, you're familiar with all this PEA drama. Got quite spicy. Long story, not so long. Basically, the team owners started their own Counter-Strike league. When they announced the league, they were going to play nice with all of the other leagues in play, which were the EPL for ESL, and Face It at that time was running the league as well, ECS, right? And PA was going to run alongside that, and the idea was the team owners felt that they needed to own one of these leagues, not just participate in them. That's, everyone's trying to figure out their rev streams, right? And so it does make sense. Cut out the middleman. You're the team owner, you're the TO, and the team owners that are in the league. Again, maybe this is a cool idea. The problem is they went from telling their players that they were going to play nice with all the leagues to basically sitting their players down and going, you're playing in our league and ECS, and you're no longer playing in EPL. EPL was, and still actually is, the biggest league we have in Counter-Strike. So it turned into a whole big drama. I got asked by some of the players to, hey, can you help us? Team owners are trying to maybe pull the rug out from under us. We don't want to not play in their league, but we don't want to be forced to not play an EPL. Cloud9 had just won the EPL the season before, so Sean Garris, Spencer Martin Hico, and Jordan reached out to me, and I'm telling too much of the story. Long story short, we put together a big letter. It gets very public, saying players don't want to not play in this. Andy, at this time, Sean Garris is playing for TSM. You guys can all go do your homework on the whole rest of this story because I'm going to try to move through this quicker. But basically, Sean gets rallied by Andy against the wall. Like, how dare you organize the players? He basically union busts Sean out of TSM, right? And bless Sean's little heart, all these emails, all the shit behind the scenes. Our lawyers at the time, that were Sean's lawyers at the time, were basically like, you should sue this guy. This is union busting. He can't do this. It's not illegal or immoral for you to talk to your fellow players about what you're all doing with the PEA, right? This is long before it became the actual player association, right? And just, he went on interviews. This is the one time that Thorin decided that Andy was his friend and went and got an interview with Andy because they notoriously hate each other. You mentioned Travis. All these people come after TSM, right? Thorin, Monty, you name it. They all are not fans of TSM or Andy. This is the one time that Thorin decides, I'll make some content. He interviews Andy. Andy says some shit even on air that literally the lawyers were like, what did he fucking say? And Sean had the opportunity. Sean was basically like, they were like, Sean, you could go after him. You could get your lost wages. You could make this even more public if you want, because we have very strong union busting rules in our country. Lots of companies still union bust every day of the week. Amazon is going through all sorts of union shit. But basically the shit he said in public and in private, Sean had a case. Sean is probably the nicest person I know in esports. And he's just a sweetheart, and he doesn't like any sort of confrontation. He hated all of that drama, right? Didn't hate fighting the fight, but like what it blew up to just literally broke the guy, right? And so he's like, no, I ain't fucking, no, I don't want anything to do with this. I like it, but I kind of wish he would have, because it probably would have set some different precedent for how all this works. But anyway, so I tweeted on some of this, like, he's just fucking lucky that Sean didn't come after him, and he tweeted, him and his crew tweeted at me a couple times about shit, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, just fuck you. Fuck right back off. Now, again, these are all millionaires now, so like, more power to you, Andy, and all you characters. Like, you're all well funded. But again, I think you hit the nail on the head. We've got people in this space that went from one job to another and were able to transition and figure out how to be a boss, how to be a manager. And we certainly have people that never fucking figured anything out. And I think he's one of them, right? And the problem with that is he's been
figured out how to get rich.
He's been rewarded for terrible behavior, right? Terrible, and it's not over, right? Like the stuff I'm talking about, the collusion, the PA, that's all years in the past. This shit, he's got employees on the record saying, like, just last week, people were fucking crying, right? So, like, again, he's got all his money now. He's set for life. Nothing you can really do other than, like, out them and explain to the world that these are not great humans. And I don't know what his investors do with this information. I don't know what Riot does. Maybe they all wait for the investigations. We have 2 investigations going on. TSM is internally investigating him, and Riot is. So we'll see, right? Yeah, I mean,
it's the same
we'll
thing
see.
I hear from him. So, like, the guy is. So what he says is the guy is really blunt, has really high expectations for people, and like doesn't sugarcoat anything that he says. I asked people at TSM that I knew personally, like, so tell me about Reggie. Like, what kind of boss is he? And they're like, well, he's, and this is slightly paraphrased, like, oh, well, he's effective at getting what he wants. And it very quickly became apparent to me that he was the kind of boss that a certain personality type could thrive under him. The kind of personality type that doesn't let it get to him when they're being insulted or told them that their work is trash or whatever, right? A very small subset of people who can tolerate a boss that is frankly rude and blunt to a fault. A lot of people, I can tell, were too afraid to stand up to the guy. He's like knee-high to a grasshopper. There's nothing imposing about him except his shitty fucking attitude. I know that like Doublelift had One more thing to say about Reggie on his stream. I don't know if we've got that here. We can run that here though. So
Okay.
let's see what Double Lift had to say
Yeah.
in closing.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I fucking hate TSM mostly because of Andy.
Again, franchise player, knows where all the skeletons are buried. Now, a little bit of devil's advocate. Obviously, he left. It didn't work out. They didn't re-sign him, you know. So has he got a little bit of like sour grapes adding to that? Maybe. But again, like he knows the man better than anyone else around, right? So I'll take his.
Hey,
I'll take his. Finally, he feels the freedom to be able to say maybe what's been on his mind for a long, long time. You know?
Well, no, he says. So obviously, Cecilia D'Anastasio. Excuse me if I butchered her name. She's the one that's written this article,
Yes.
right? And Wired, the publication, reached out to Reggie and asked him about this, and he said, and I'll quote this directly from the article from Cecilia. Din tells Wired that he has, quote unquote, extremely high expectations for myself, and I share those same expectations with everyone I work with. I have zero tolerance for underperformance. I'm intense, passionate, driven, and relentless in the pursuit of winning. It's my nature. I set an extremely high bar, and when I feel that someone is not delivering, I directly and bluntly share that feedback. He added, however, that when he looks back, my vocabulary was at times too harsh and ineffective. I mean, well, what's ineffective about just being a fucking dick about it? He goes on to say, I know I need to work on my delivery, and I'm working to improve the way I communicate with my team. Yada. So TSM is not the only example of a team, an org, that is built into like a giant organization off the back of the charisma, or I mean, maybe not in TSM's case, but the personality of one of their star players. G2 is the same fucking thing, mate. G2 is a fucking loudmouth mid laner that eventually got eclipsed by his more hardworking peers, turning towards the business side of things and doing extremely well for themselves, as a result of that. Carlos is like the kind of guy who doesn't give a fuck. He's not going to poach plays. He doesn't quite care. You could call these guys both mavericks in their fucking fields here. Obviously, Carlos is now moving on to becoming a singer-songwriter. So, shout outs to him. But, so there are examples of this that have happened. But the thing is that you kind of said that, Andy's being rewarded for this bad behavior. The reality is that he didn't really have to be a brilliant leader, manager of people, because he was one of the first that was, spinning up this kind of enterprise. And my understanding is that there are guys around him that are extremely good at business. He himself is considered by people that work with him to be very sharp when it comes to business. But the guy, has no tact. He has no understanding of people when it sort of sounds like it's his way or the highway. So he's going to have to learn, or he'll need to abdicate his little position at the top there and give it to someone who fucking knows how to work with people, real people, and then you can fuck off to the Caymans and tweet bullshit. You know what I mean? That might be the sort of correct move for this guy, because apparently he knows how to make money. So congrats. Obviously, this, you have to understand, TSM has a few different properties, right? Like the Blitz app is something that is run by the same company, and there's other things like that. So this is, and I've seen I've talked to people who work for TSM, brilliant people, incredibly skilled, talented at what they do. Really on the forefront of a lot of things that are happening in the gaming space, right? And he's very fortunate to have them as his employees, and he'd best learn how to fucking treat them properly, or get rid of him and put him in some cushy sort of, like hideaway position where he doesn't actually have to interact with his employees. That would be the play. Otherwise, this is going to get worse. He doesn't have respect for the people that fucking make him the money, man. Some bullshit.
Yeah, brand new facility. Yeah, again, it just seems weird to me that it's gone on so long. Like, again, I get his progression. He was a player, so you got to learn how to be a boss. And, those first 5 years or so, totally get that you could be unhinged for a while. But then you start getting the money, you start getting the investors and the other people helping you. And, like, Jason, every other day back, it would be like, Scott, you always... no one mentored him, obviously, right? Like, Jason and I are always doing that with each other 20 fucking years later, right? So, like... was everybody in that office the first 5 years just afraid to go, dude, that's a little harsh? Like, because maybe he just needed someone to, like, help him, because maybe it didn't need to be like this bad and go this long, right? Like, I don't know. Like, fuck.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
that's enough of that.
Yeah.
I'll give this motherfucker enough airtime. But yeah, we'll
keep an eye on it.
There. Again, Scott, Riot investigating doesn't mean anything. It's just people just tooting their own horn. So good on your Riot. You don't really have any, like, power outside of trying to issue a fine to TSM, and they don't give a fuck. We know they're rich. Moving on. We got some team news here. I loved this. So obviously in the CS:GO world, I guess the CS:GO world, we're seeing some fantastic like team announcement sort of content.
Yeah.
The first one obviously is from Team Vitality. This is great. This is a fantastic way to sort of announce your roster. We roll this video, Jason, because this is great. I think you can pick up the theme of it pretty quickly, but this is epic, and I mean that in the literal sense as much as the figurative.
Yeah, I this blew me away because I was like, oh, okay, another video of a team announcement. Let's see what they did. And I was like, oh shit.
Isn't it so much better than having like a camera just panning around a team of guys with like crossed arms and a bunch of like dry eyes pumped into a room
The
that's
hero
artificially
pose,
lit?
yeah, with some lasers. This is so damn
Yeah.
cool. I was like, okay, now I'm ready for the Netflix like movie where these guys attack a city, and it was just really, it's just cool to see the teams are starting to like take their money into super high level productions on this kind of stuff. Obviously, whole little news story, you know, they've landed. And again, this was a combination announcement of a couple different players. Obviously, on the Counter-Strike side, they have 3 folks from Astralis.
That was Megis, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
so they have Magis, they have Dupree,
Yeah,
and
Dupree and
Zonic.
Megis.
And Zonic as the coach, right, has come over. So
Right.
the hell of a Counter-Strike, and that is not necessarily news, like, so this announcement wasn't like, oh shit, I can't believe he's coming, you know, leaks, but it's just super cool how they did this as a whole viral, like, you know, their attack, you know, they've landed kind of thing. Just really neat, because again, I'm waiting for the Netflix movie. Where they figure out how to, you know.
Is this a juggernaut roster? So what is this? What is this team? It's what, like Apex is leaving, right? So
No,
it's-
Apex is.
Who do we have to fight?
Apex stays.
Oh, he's staying. Sorry, but he was sad because his teammates were leaving.
Yes,
Sorry.
that was. He was crying because that old roster is broken up. So what? It's him, Mishu,
Mishu, Zaiwu,
Zaiwu,
Magix,
Dupree, and
right.
Magix, yeah. And then Zonic is now the coach. So, again, big chunk of Astral is gone. And now a huge chunk of Astral, because obviously you also have got Device that's now at NIP. So, like, that legendary roster is done and certainly separated forever. So, it'll be interesting to see how they do. Again, in Counter-Strike, we legendarily put together good players that don't play that great together, and great players. You know, you never know how they're going to gel. Right, so we're gonna see.
Sure.
I think they're gonna do good things with Zonic and that crew. I think it's gonna be a good team.
Because Astralis lose. I mean, I like the heart and soul of the team when they lose to Magic and Zonic. I think they hired. Didn't they get Config?
Yep.
Previous fellow Danish.
Yep.
Sort of young gun, and Bubsky's on that team as well. So I mean, we'll see. And I think your Blame F also got brought on. So all right. That's Vitality news, though. It's one
Just
part of the
super
story.
cool announcement. Yeah.
We have another team that went for. This isn't really a team announcement as much as an announcement that the G2 are branching off in a new direction.
Fucking Carlos. So speaking of Carlos,
G2 Esports have. Can we see this tweet again? We just brought it up, I think, a moment ago. They've expanded into the music industry by releasing their debut single. It's a power metal track, apparently, that has Carlos on vocals. Is this real life?
Please, Carlos, don't DMCA us. Let us show this.
Fair use, Carlos.
Oh, well, it's our music. Never mind. So super cool. Again, full on music video. You know, really well done. Now G2 has been nailing it out of the park with their cinematics. Like they've got a full video editing department. They win award after award every year. So this is no different than a lot of the stuff that they've been kicking out in this just sense of their content. Difference being they now have a music label. This is their song. It's just, again, super well done shit. Yet again, setting the bar of spending lots of money on your branding stuff.
Yeah. It's really cool. A part of me thinks this takes inspiration from what like Dracos and Vedius have been doing at the LEC. Which, for those that don't know, the broadcast talent at LEC clearly doesn't have enough work to do, and so they've been on the side. They've been creating some fantastic music. They've been writing songs and sort of collabing with some reasonable artists here. They've even been doing like these rap battles. Like the guys at LEC are basically the really high performing kids in your drama class, right? The rest of us are just there to get the credit. And those motherfuckers are living and breathing the method acting. You know what I mean? In high school. So, it feels like, G2 are sort of taking cues from them. I mean, it's cool. I just don't, the song was a bit goofy for me. I feel like this isn't obviously the
Sentinels.
fucking
That's
song,
great.
guys. You just need to go listen to it.
Like the
It's
memes
a
in
bunch
here.
it's a bunch of
Yeah.
fantastic nods as well to G2 related memes, of which Carlos creates plenty of his own. I love it. It's cool. It's sort of, it feels emblematic of their entire org, and it's a bit of fun, but I don't know what more it's intended to be. Is there going to be more of this? When should we expect it? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, what's the go here?
Well, and when I first saw the tweet, I really was hoping it was Carlos like singing the Frank Sinatra song, you know, My Way, but done with like G2 lyrics, something. And then it turned into some epic power metal, they call it. I don't.
Epic power baby metal. Yeah, I don't know.
Power
It's cool.
baby metal.
It's fine. I'm down with it. It's a
Jason
Euro
called-
trash metal.
Yeah.
That's a good one from Jason. I don't really.
Now we are gonna
I
get
like the
DMCA.
cello here though. This cello player
Yes.
fucking slaps.
Yes.
She's actually shredding the cello, which I don't know. Big fan of that. So it's fun. It's really
Yeah.
cool. And it's not just like you know. It's not like thank God it's not mumble rap for fuck's sake. You know.
Yeah, and again, I just love how G2 literally like we talked about the vitality. Like, let's talk about this vitality thing, and then I'm like, oh shit, this just drops. Let's add this to it. Because again, I just watching brands diversify past like just logos on T-shirts and the same old stuff is just really cool to see. And you got to spend
Now,
those
if I
millions of
don't
dollars
get
in VC
Courage
somehow.
fucking singing, if I don't get Courage singing a power ballad in like the Springsteen style next from 100 Thieves, I'm gonna be extremely disappointed. But great job. Big shout out obviously for G2, like, you know, producing this content is as much fan service as it could be any other sort of business-based endeavor. Carlos obviously has to be the fucking star of this show, which
Always,
is fine.
always.
I fucking love the guy. He's great value. So there you go. G2 put that out there. Go check that out over on G2's Twitter. And of course, yeah, the Vitality news in their video was also great. Here's some content that just kind of fucking sucks, but is really funny. It seems like, you know, as someone who dabbles a little bit in decentralized finance, there's always a bit of a fun segment to do this week by calling out some of the most ridiculous shit that World produces. And let me tell you, it produces some absolutely absurd stuff.
Wait.
So, Scott, we heard about your
I just
esports
lost.
cruise coin last week. Someone has upgraded your little
I
idea,
just lost you in my ear.
and they've created an island. All right, you can't hear me now, Scott? All right, it's my show now, bitch. Deal with it. All right, so let's talk about Cryptoland, an island
Can you
designed
put him on the
for
speaker?
crypto bros to escape the fetters of the daily grind and finally get to live their paradise. Not, you know, a solo paradise. No, it's a paradise with a bunch of those same fucking annoying
I got bags.
guys shilling their bags constantly on Twitter. That's right. Crypto Island features the Blockchain Hills, which is a 5-star housing estate. There's a place for you all to work. The House of DAO is an incubator for the finest blockchain architects of this century. It's the go-to destination for crypto bros. Now,
Okay, fifth house in on the left.
island-
That's mine. I already bought it. So
Okay, you want that one?
Don't you tell
That's
me it's
fine.
bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm up there on the hill.
So it features the Vladimir Club, a very exclusive location for crypto bros to try and find members of the fairest sex to attract. I don't really know. So this is the announcement video. Basically, it's this coin guy is called Connie. Basically supposed to be emblematic of the deep-seated desire for crypto bros to escape the fucking daily drudgery of the concrete jungles in which they live. And it took a whole year to make this, apparently, and this is how they sort of tried to espouse the lifestyle. This isn't free. This comes at a price. One plot of land on this crypto island will cost you a cool 310 Ethereum, which as of right now comes to about $1 million. But when Ethereum's performing better, it's probably closer to $1.6 million. Yeah, decent amount of money for nothing yet. Just the promise of a plot of land, and you mint a King Crypto Lander NFT, which is your title deed essentially to this plot of land. Now, look, Scott, you can't afford that. That's fine. You can also get yourself a standard Crypto Lander NFT. You can mint one of those. They go for like, I don't know, $300, $400. And that gives you exclusive access to the vaunted Vladimir Club that doesn't yet exist. It's more of a figment of your imagination. None of this exists. What do you think? Have I sold you on this?
Yeah, I mean, Blackjack and I are definitely going to buy into the Blockchain Hills for sure. Maybe two plots, at least one. I'm in. You know, I told you last week that I haven't really dabbled, but this video, it kind of put all the questions and all the various puzzle pieces I had together in one cohesive and dynamic presentation. I get it now. I understand what I was missing out on, and I fucked up. I don't need mushrooms. I don't need apes, but I need to get on this fucking island. I think that's for sure.
I love it. It's so funny because the NFT is kind of secondary to the whole thing. So what they're trying to do is, through the sales of these NFTs, they're trying to fund the purchase of the island. And then they have to build everything. The two founders of this project, they seem like they mean well. They also seem like they're a couple cents short of $1, if I'm honest with you. Or at least they're not. For some reason, they're so attached to this vision. They believe that they want to create this epically awesome place for crypto people to go fucking live and work. But here's my thing. What's the point? If you're trying to create like a whole civilization online, then why are you so interested in living on a fucking island, I guess? You know, like why does it matter to all these people? But it's great. It's really good for a laugh. I recommend I recommend watching the video. The problem is, though, is that they've fallen under some scrutiny. First of all, they can't justify how they're going to make all this happen. And then one of the weirdest interactions that I'd ever seen sort of happen on Twitter. So someone asked them, what is the age of consent on Crypto Island, right? Because a lot of this is because you're announcing a private island in the wake of Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction, right? So let's just point that out there. They said, what's the age of consent in Cryptoland? The person who runs the social media account, which I assume is one of these people, by the way, because Max Olivier, by the way, the Cryptolander, and Helena Lopez, they're the two founders here. They have like a combined 120 followers on Twitter, so just don't bother. And this Twitter account responds, I guess they respond that the age of consent is like whenever someone is considered mentally mature or something like that.
Yeah.
Like really fucking seedy, like borderline pedophilic nonsense. And that was it. Like everyone started going to town on them. Like as if they didn't have a bad enough reputation. Like they say something like that. You know what's even worse? This is an island in Fiji, right? It's a private island. It's privately owned by God knows who. They're going to buy it off them. The fucking founder in a Discord chat says that he hopes that there are no Fijian natives on the island because it would quote unquote ruin the vibe.
Oh no. Oh no.
Pardon?
Oh no.
There's a literal screenshot of this. So these people are just dumb. They're not very smart. They're just fucking dumb. So I just wanted to bring this up because again, it's a great example of another of the stupid fucking ideas that comes out of this space of people that are trying to create solutions to problems that don't exist, like the fucking racist pedophile island that nobody wants to live on. Oddly enough, there's been one of these plots sold. That guy's not getting his 310 Ethereum back. Unlucky, I guess.
Wait. They're racist. I got esports cruise coin. We're gonna pull the ship up there once a week. I got to change this whole deal now. Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you should collaborate with this particular group. But anyway, There you go. There's your weekly. We gripe about shitty crypto ideas.
Yeah.
There you go. Fucking enjoy.
And I saw during my pandemic, watching everything I possibly could on the internet, like last year, I did see a documentary on a bunch of yahoos like this that wanted to do the same idea with a ship. They were going to have because once you have a ship, you're sovereign and you're just your own country, right? It's that easy. So it was this whole debacle of them buying a shitty old ship, not being able to get it insured and all the money. And they threw the whole idea away after they spent millions of dollars. But it was like, no, you still have to play by the world's rules, people. Why do I have to get it insured? Oh, you're idiots. Anyway.
Yeah. What about the plumbing? Like, how are people going to shit there? Wiping their ass with fiat currency? Where does all the shit go?
Yeah, where do you pull it and get food? It was just fucking... Well,
the video depicts like utopian society where people can... Here's the best part. Yeah. They can sit on their laptops with palm trees behind them. Fucking get a grip. Get a fucking grip. Yeah. I don't want to talk about this anymore. This is done.
All right, we're not going to talk about
some questions from people.
Yeah, let's move on to the end of the show where we answer your questions. If you guys have given us any today, let's pull it up. Although you guys are going to show it to me. First one. Here you go. A little Counter-Strike related. What are your thoughts on the new EGCS lineup? We kind of know it, I guess, because Nicole gave us a series. Yeah, speaking of team announcements, not an official team announcement per se, but Nicole is the CEO of Evil Geniuses, and I happen to be wearing an EG shirt today. Here's how she announced their roster, which was cute and funny and didn't cost them any money. And I imagine they're doing some sort of video to officially release this roster. But she just basically did it with puns on all the players, right? So Rush, Automatic, Breeze, Cirque. And then I liked this one because she just sends Stewie, right? No pun, just Stewie. So my thoughts on it are cool. Nice to see kind of this roster. Nice, couple things. Nice to see, there was a little bit of a rumor like, is EG going to stay in Counter-Strike? Are they not? They said they were going to stay, but we'll wait and see. Sounds like they are staying. Here's their roster, North American-centric. How they'll do against the big boys of Counter-Strike? Don't know. We'll have to see how they gel.
Can they save NACS? Isn't that the question here?
Yeah. Will they be one of the better teams in NA? Yeah, that's easy to say.
Brilliant.
Not many of them.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, glad we've established that. Yeah, that's obviously not saying much.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about. Obviously, Automatic comes over from Valorant. Another Counter-Strike player that went to Valorant and didn't quite find his his glory days over there. I mean, maybe going to T1 didn't help him, but that's a whole nother story. So
yeah, it's Stewie. It comes off of Liquid.
Hopefully,
yeah. So and then some of the guys were already on the roster. So and then Rush has been floating around. So we'll see. We'll see how they gel. Stewie did tweet, and I think he said in his live stream that they were heading to Europe. So it sounds like this team might anchor in Europe, which makes the most sense because Ping and all the European teams and playing over there, and all the online stuff.
Yeah.
It just makes sense that they actually do embed over there. I don't think EG has their own facility in Europe right now, so I don't necessarily know where they're doing that. Or maybe they're opening something.
Partner up with other.
Yeah. So, but it's cool to see because that's what you want to do in Counter-Strike right now. You want to live over there. So
and North has a whole fucking football stadium or whatever. I mean, yeah, you could probably partner with another org out there and use their facilities. I know Renegades do that a bunch with a lot of their sort of foreign players.
Yep.
But Cirque is what, Bulgarian, isn't he? Yeah, I mean,
Bulgarian or Serbian? Yeah, Bulgarian. I think Bulgarian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows?
Okay.
Who knows?
Might make it easy also for him with how things are right now.
Yeah. But it's cool to see. So I don't mean to shit on their announcement. It is great to see that they're staying with the game. They are heading a little bit more towards North America. But again, we'll just see how they actually do. You're right. Once Blast opens that facility, that would be exactly why they're building it. So teams like this can play in that league structure and have facilities. So I think it's a little early, but I think it's a valid point in chat. All right, next question. All right. My ear's bugging me. Did Valve give... okay. So big Dota news today. Valve has canceled this first major of the DPC season. So this question, did Valve give up on the Dota major too fast? Is there some other way they could have rescheduled it so teams don't get screwed out of the prize pool, etc.? Help my name. Hey, I walk. So where they're getting grief is... So they play DPC. DPC is a series of, which is the Dota Pro Circuit, series of seasons, if you will, that each are capped by a major. Winter, spring, fall, winter, spring, summer. Anyway, we're in winter.
Okay.
And they've canceled the winter. The winter league is still going on, the circuit, although there's people that are already out by points and people are sitting at the top but they basically canceled the major that is in mid-February that they're all supposed to earn points to go get some prize money, get some more points. These series of DPC events stack up points that get you invited to the international. So it's obviously all still a road to the international, all still very, very fucking important. And what they've done is because of COVID, they've canceled the major and they're not doing it online. They've done nothing in lieu of. All they've done is said these points that we were going to give you, we're now going to move over to the next season and spread them out over there. Doesn't help anybody right now. Those that could have won that prize money at this event have no chance to make that money now because not all these teams are sponsored in the sense of like pro team tickets.
What about like the unsponsored teams that qualified? Like what about, because wasn't there one of them that like ended up relocating, at least some players?
Yeah, Quincy, some of the players from Quincy came to LA from the CEA region to play with their team. They are winning the fucking circuit. They are unsigned, so they don't have paychecks. They would have used this prize money. This would have helped pay these guys' bills, right? Because they are self-funded, right?
Yeah.
And again, just yanked the rug out, so to speak. Again, maybe for all the right reasons, COVID, don't want to throw a big event. Get all that, but no replacement, no online component. Instead, And they haven't even said what they're doing with the prize money. They've said the points are going to get pushed over to the next one, but they haven't said shit about the prize money. And again, this is one of those, like, we've talked for years about, like, God, I'm a Counter-Strike guy, right? So for years, we looked at the International and went, fuck, just a little something, just a little crowdfunding again like you used to do, boss. We could crowdfund some millions. And then it's kind of the tale of two fucking esports, right? Because it's the same goddamn developer. They treat it like night and day. You have a very, very thriving third-party tournament organizing world in Counter-Strike to the point where they fucking fight. They raise the level of those products when they fight, right? It all looks good, right? Look what Blast has done in this world of competition. Well, look what Blast is now, right? And then you've got Dota that no TO really wants to do much with. It's really expensive. Valve will give you some money. They don't have the team love in the sense of like branded teams, right? Because a lot of them have decided it's not, it's not worth the effort to have a team. So they're, you know, a lot of these teams are self-funded. So it becomes that TI is even more important. Everything is still for this big event, right? That is just, it's broken everything below it. We've talked about it for decades, that it broke everything below it. This news cycle of having the biggest esport on the planet once a year has broken the rest of your esport, Valve. I think you know that. It's broken everything, right? From why a Cloud9 or a TSM or a G2 or any team with money would want to support a team of players to how independents can't even really do it on their own. Quincy, this latest team, is a prime example of just getting rat fucked, right? And so now I'm like, you know what? Like, fuck it. We'll just... Counter-Strike can just live right fucking over here. You can help with our majors because it's a better system. It's better fucking system for the better players. It's better system for the ecosystem because it's an ecosystem being figured out. There is no ecosystem.
It's better with Valve, less involved.
Yeah. There's no ecosystem in Dota. It is a Valve propped up series of events that ends in their big show. That ain't an ecosystem, right? It's very unfortunate, right? Because fuck... lots of fans, lots of fucking players, right? And casual to pro care about that game still, but it just seems every season, and sure, COVID didn't help any esport. It certainly didn't help this one, right? And I think I was talking to Daniel. Daniel was explaining to me, you know, they had some events before and teams couldn't make it due to visas and it fucked up their tournaments. And so maybe that's why Valve is pulling way back and not doing this major. So I totally get that. You know, like we don't want to keep going down the road and then this team can't come and this team can't come and this country closes down. Now they had not announced the location. So no one bought plane tickets. No one bought hotels. We didn't know where it was yet. It's not like they pulled it out. They didn't pull the rug out of a planned event. Right? It was meant to happen mid-February. Still totally terrible. And again, I've always wanted a little bit of crowdfunding. I've always said to those guys, "Hey, look, what you do with the International is crazy. You've broken your game. You
don't call that stickers in CS. You don't feel like that's like some form of crowdfunding.
It is. It is, but stickers don't go to the prize purse. Right? Stickers are a nebulous funding thing that teams get and players get, and we know in the scene that it's good money, and we like it. But I like the idea, like when they started this thing back in the day, you could buy a blue case. We had esports cases. If that esports case dropped in your game and you decided to buy a key and open it, a chunk of that went to the next major, right? And it never was growable. What they said is, this $1 million is coming from this case. What I always wanted was let's see what we can crowdfund. Give us some sort of compendium. Give us something, a little tit for tat like you do with Dota, and let's just see what the Counter-Strike fan base will give you, Valve, because you make money too, Valve, and you spread that to the TO, you spread that to the players, you spread that to the teams participating. But we never got a shot to really see. Would it be 5 million? Would it be 10 million? I don't fucking know. But in retrospect, it's fine. It's fine. Just stay over there. Fuck it.
Is it really fine, Scott?
For Counter-Strike, it is. As long as Valve throws some money at TOs and TOs decide it's still worth to host that event, and they go along with when the player break is, so they don't step on the competitive integrity of that ecosystem. Stay the fuck away from the rest of it. I'm cool with that. Now, now I'm not a team owner. I'm not a player. They would want to add and keep giving stickers and all that shit. They would not want to lose that. But I'm okay with them not building something that maybe breaks our entire ecosystem for one event a year, because Dota's fucking broken, right? And it's unfortunate because, you know, you talk to a lot of people, it's still the better MOBA. It's still a harder game. It's, you know, fuck League of Legends. Dota's where the real pros are. But, man, Valve is not doing themselves any favors. You know, and there's a lot of stuff coming out on the thread about, you know, Valve. I don't think we have this graphic, but Valve had a meeting with team owners at TI 10, so a couple TIs ago, right? And basically said, look, dudes and dudettes, TI is a passion project for us at this point, right? Yes, we make money on it, but we burn a whole lot of people's yearly life to do it. It's a whole lot of hassle. And basically it was like, hey, keep in mind this is a passion project for us, and B, stop bitching in public and start coming to us in private, right? And it's the way this reads.
Wait, Valve is saying this.
Valve said this to these team owners, right? Basically like, look, dude, quit shitting in the fucking cereal or we'll just stop fucking delivering the fucking breakfast, right? It's a passion.
Oh, interesting.
And I put my Valve hat on and I go, okay, they've done this for 10 years now. They've hit every news cycle they need to hit, that it's the biggest esport, it's the biggest prize purse, yet again. They've done this fucking 8 times now, right? They probably, in their mind, are probably looking at it going, fuck it. Let's actually do it more like Counter-Strike. We'll figure out some majors. Fuck this. It ain't worth it anymore. You know? Because it might not be. Right? Valve could not host another esport event, could not make another game ever again, and because of the Steam platform alone, they will continue to make money hand over fist. Here's some of it, right? So they tried to want to add some context to what basically Valve was already telling some of these teams, right? Like, when you got problems, like, stop fucking venting, right? I mean, obviously everyone hates when players and teams immediately go to Twitter and go, this is fucked up, whether it's a protocol issue or a computer issue. So I don't know if it reads like we're going to take our ball and leave if you guys keep being bitches, but like, maybe they're done with this being this big, huge monster, because maybe it does take 10 employees all year round to manage it. I don't know. What do you know about Dota and the international? I've talked a lot.
Look, not a lot, Scott. But I mean, the fact that they cancelled this major without, I mean, they wanted. This is what I don't understand. It's a bit of a double standard here from Valve, because they're asking teams to come to them with any problems, but there's like that fucking Twitlonger says, there's teams in Kazakhstan, or a team in Kazakhstan, who would have to have traveled for this major in theory, and there's a lot of difficulty in that country right now because Russia invented a fucking crisis that they solved in that country apparently. You know, so like it's tough to get in and out of the country, and the manager's trying to get in contact with someone at Valve, a fucking radio silence. Like, these cunts do not fucking respond to these teams when they need to reach them, and then they're asking them with the same fucking hand they wipe their ass with their bloody, you know. They're asking them now, hey, like, you know, you should be talking to us a little bit more. Like, I don't really understand this. You guys, like, it's quite clear that Valve doesn't value putting the time in to communicate adequately with their teams. They get them together in a forum and they go, hey, if you fuck around, all this can go away. So don't make us look bad. You know what I mean? And then they don't put any effort into fostering a relationship with these teams. Like, fuck me, man. If Valve wasn't so good at games, I would just want them to just diss a fucking peer. Straight up. They are so dog shit at this whole, you know, creating it. And you know what? Like, here's the reality of it. Just retweeted something by Fairchild. It's true. It's all marketing. It's all fucking marketing for Valve. You know what I mean? And they market through a variety of different methods. You know, maybe esports is just not one of them they think is worth it, right? They mentioned about how, you know, the running TI is not worth it. Then fucking go away. Just don't half-ass this shit. You're either going to do this or not. We'll move on to another esport. We'll move on to something else where, you know, maybe it's a marketing expenditure that's going to be considered worth the while by another TO or by another developer. Like, we can live without you. Sorry. Dota is never going to be a great esport because of you.
Yeah.
And that's on Valve.
Yeah. Again, they've got like this it's so weird how they have this pinnacle event and it's just such dog shit below it. It seems, and it hasn't. They haven't. I thought they would grow into it. I thought they would eventually figure it out because they've tried different experiments with different leagues and different formats to keep the whole year exciting and rewarding. And and again, COVID has obviously fucked everything for everybody, but like equally. So I don't know. Like it would be very interesting if Gabe just goes, you know what? No, last TI coming up. Let's throw one big final shebang. Why not? Fuck, they don't owe anybody. No one's entitled to one.
All I'll say is that it's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah. And again, I always hold them up as like the dev I do like because of their kind of standoffish but kind of helpfulness. But like this is just, it's beyond. I mean, if these teams all heard about this today, like we all heard about it, that's beyond fucked up. Don't you dare, to your point, don't you dare tell me to be private with you and then fucking pull the rug. Like, because you don't have, Anyway, we'll keep you posted on how this one goes. Maybe they will take some public heat off this and throw a tournament together or do some sort of online finish of this season, give some money out, change what they've already announced today, maybe. Valve's not like that. They don't necessarily bend. They don't give a fuck, to your point. So we'll see. But fuck, an hour and 40 minutes later, we did it. Another show that we thought we might not have much to talk about. Holy fuck.
Yeah, plenty to talk about. I got to say, this episode, though, in my opinion, I'm just going to take the advantage here, is brought to you by our friend the Dan Dangler for advocating for workplace benefits for Twitch streamers. So thank you for being a brave voice here. And fighting for sick pay for Twitch streamers. Hopefully more people stand up, Scott, and join her in this fight.
I'm still waiting. Cody Connors, Twitch Corporation.
Tough crowd.
I need you to approve the Do Not Peak vacation request, or we can't go to Cabo, brah. We'll see you next week.
Tough fucking
That's
crowd.
going to do it for us.